Cookie!
Hi, Full Song Elizabeth Cookie here. Welcome to episode 10 of the Full Song Elizabeth Cookie Show of season 5. Once again, I just want to say thank you for all of you who are still supporting my work, what I still put out there in my video blog, and waiting an entire month for me to release one episode. As you know, working a full-time job while trying to put up your video blog can be tedious, difficult, and time-consuming. And when I put up these blogs, I really want to talk about something worthwhile. And so for all of you out there who are still supporting my work as a fan, as an otaku, and giving my opinions out there, not only for the video game but anime community, I just want to say thank you. And for all of you out there who is into performing arts as well, as much as I am, thank you again for your patience and your serenity and your grace and waiting for my episodes to come out. So I'm just going to get right into it. I decided that this episode I'm just going to talk about Xbox One and everything that's on it, and my thoughts and my analysis, and so on and so forth. But before I get into that, one really quick tidbit of news. Last episode, I covered talking briefly about the movie Bayonetta Bloody Fate, the 2-week special that was released by Gonzo in Japanese theaters. So as we know, the 2 weeks are long gone. It displayed in Japanese theaters in November. But an Australian media company known as Madman Entertainment has acquired the license to release it in North America and Australia. So the release of the anime Bayonetta Bloody Fate will not happen or will not be into production until sometime after January 24th of 2014. I look forward to that, and after seeing the anime, or of course downloading it whenever it comes on a torrent, I will do another mini review on that after seeing it with my own eyes to see how well did it match up with the video game. So let's get right into this. My whole spiel for today is all about Xbox One. So of course, I never was a Microsoft fan, ever like that, except for Windows. And my favorite Windows was Windows 98 and Windows 98 Second Edition many moons ago, because to me that was the best platform for running retro games and retro PC games. I wouldn't get back into liking Microsoft that much until about Windows 8 and then XP. Millennium Edition had me on for a bit, and then I got kind of a sour taste in my mouth with Windows 2000 NT. But then again, that's the history of Microsoft and their unstable operating system for PC users. However, for those who use Mac, we understand that for some crazy goddamn reason, Mac hardware works so well on a Windows platform when you use Boot Camp. So that's a little tangent right there. Going back on topic. When Xbox One was released early on this year, between June and July, I went crazy only because of the fact that my favorite game I waited for 17 years for has been resurrected, which is Killer Instinct. Now, for all of us as fans, we wanted to know if this would be a direct sequel to 2, because Killer Instinct 2 left on a cliffhanger and it had multiple different endings 17 years ago when the game was released in '96. But before I get into Killer Instinct and my full analysis of that, let's just talk about the Xbox One. So when they released it and when they talked about it, of course, I went bananas because that was one of their flagship games that would be only exclusive to Xbox One. I never had an Xbox and I never had a 360, though someone did give me a 360 many moons ago in its first incarnation when I lived back in Albany, New York. I had it for a bit. I played a game called X-Blades, played it for a while. Then when I came struck for cash, I sold the 360, and I only had it like for maybe a couple of months. So I instantly pre-ordered or tried to pre-order my Xbox One, which now even it came in the mail. Of course, I have it. Here it is. And at the time, Xbox or Microsoft was really ambiguous about their contents management and the stipulations on what you needed to actually use your entertainment console at home. And because there was this weird licensing issue with having to have the camera and watching people, and then the government and everyone's thinking Big Brother's now watching us now, it was very difficult for me to pre-order the Xbox One. But after they released all that information, that's when pre-orders dropped. So then when I called into GameStop, I was actually able to pre-order mine only under the condition that after Microsoft released those stipulations, everyone started to draw back. Then the pre-orders started to rise again after Microsoft realized that they made a serious flaw. And then in the competition between PlayStation 4 against Sony, Sony basically ate that alive, took that to the bank, and used that to even market their PS4 even better, which Microsoft realized that they had to change their strategy plan and marketing. And after doing that, I was lucky enough not only to secure my place in the Xbox One world, but it also pushed everyone out who had already pre-ordered but dropped theirs due to the stipulations. So there was a lot going on right there. Fast forward to today, I managed to pick up my Xbox One. It came in the mail to me on actual launch date, the 22nd of November. So here it is right here. I do have the day one edition, which some are saying, and I coined this from my friend Carlos back home in New York through a tweet or through Facebook, where he had a feeling that the Xbox Day One Edition becomes something very rare sometime, maybe 5-6 years from now. I don't know. This is my first Xbox, and this is really what I have to say about it. It came with all the bells and whistles that you expect from today's next generation of Xbox users, of console users. Let me rephrase that. So you get this nifty little controller right here, which says Day One. I guess this is to let you know I'm one of the lucky people of having the Day One edition. Not that I really give a shit. I got it because I've been burning the ears of my friends for 17 years stating that should Killer Instinct ever come back, I will be amongst the front lines of the people to have the game. That's the only reason why I have the Xbox One system. However, I'm learning the new benefits of this system and actually how it's actually going to do me a great justice in the future as I continue my video blog. I had no clue that with this Xbox One I would be able to not only simultaneously record game footage but also do video blogs at the same time. As we know, Maximilian has been one of the first people to do that when doing combo reviews for Killer Instinct right on the Xbox One system. So shout out to Maximilian and his wonderful work as he always does for us in the fighting game community. Moving on, we can use Skype. There are multiple other clients in the future that will be happening with this system as we download applications, which is running somewhat of a Windows platform on here. In addition to this, you can hook up your cable box if you have like AT&T U-verse or Comcast here on the West Coast. Cablevision on the East Coast, if that still exists. My knowledge kind of leaves me with the providers on the East Coast. But here on the West Coast, us users using Comcast, AT&T U-verse through HDMI ports, that's something that can be utilized through Xbox One. And the Xbox One interface gives you a whole new experience when using that interface in conjunction with your cable box. One thing I noticed, you cannot use the composite cables, the yellow, white, red wires. You can only use HDMI. So what a way to say this is the future. Everything is HDMI, and then soon to be everything will be Bluetooth wireless once Bluetooth is, perfected. So far I have enjoyed my Xbox One thus far, of course, for my Killer Instinct game. I'm waiting to use it for other purposes. I'm still exploring it. I'm enjoying the split screen technology and the things that I can use it for multiple formats like AVI, MPEG, MPEG-1, MPEG-2. I believe I'm even able to play VCDs once the application for media playing I'm able to download. I'll be able to utilize that. So all my old formats in the foreground I'll be able to use, which I'm actually happy. Something that I don't think other consoles are really utilizing right now. Though, one thing I really do wish the Xbox One really did was have backwards compatibility for 360 games. I know, right? The irony. I'm talking about 360 games when I really could give a shit about Microsoft. I just think it's a really nice feature for those who enjoy the Xbox world to be able to play Xbox One and 360 games. This is like a wet dream for someone even like me who wish that Sega would come out with another system so I can play not only Sega CD games, Sega Saturn games, but even Dreamcast games, and perhaps PC Engine games if they was able to acquire a license with the times of that era. What else more can I really say about the Xbox One? It came with all these other bells and whistles like the Day One achievement and 15 days of free online service for Xbox account for being able to play online and have all these other amenities. I see that my 15 days are almost coming up. And what I must say is, for those who really do pay for the membership, now I understand because it is just unrivaled performance. since I've played Killer Instinct Online, I've never had any slowdown in any of my matches. And I've won a lot of matches and I lost a lot of matches, and I've learned a lot from the game, and I've learned a lot from the technology of the Xbox here, that Microsoft is really stepping up their game. I know that in their marketing plan, they're really trying their hardest to compete with Sony. And as a diehard Sony fan and as a PlayStation fan, you know, it's going to take Microsoft a lot more than just some snazzy video game system to take them there. Because as we know, Sony has always been in the entertainment industry. And because Sony's in the entertainment industry, they have movie studios. You know, for all of us back in the day that had Walkmans and CD players and MP3 players and even tape cassette players, Sony's been ahead of the game for the longest, not only in the home front of Japan, but here in America, in the States, and other parts of the world. So Microsoft is just starting to realize that they need to start getting into the film industry as well. I give reference to my friend Rob Miles for, you know, letting me on to that. He's always given me great conversations in the world of technology, entertainment, and industry. Thank you, Rob Miles. This is my my shout out to you for that tidbit of information of Microsoft realizing that for them to compete with Sony, they need to be in the entertainment industry all around. Because as you know, Sony, we have TVs, Walkmans, DVD players. They get you going and coming no matter where you go. And then there's their third-party support between Netflix, Hulu, Skype, so on and etc. So whatever Sony has, Microsoft is just catching up as of right now. You know, let's see. Maybe one day we may even see Microsoft in the video gaming handheld system. It'd be nice to have a portable version of Killer Instinct 3 or Killer Instinct 2013 edition. So that's my little analysis of this Xbox One right here. It is an all-around entertainment machine, being able to hook up to all of your devices to really give you the full experience of your entertainment life. The best way to fully enjoy this is that you need to have a smart TV, because it does this voice recognition service right here. This headset, oops, I'm dropping the equipment. The headset that this comes with right here, as we see, you know, it comes with one controller headset, the machine, the connects, you know, which I'll get into shortly, is to give all users the most full-round, I guess, next cutting-edge experience that one can ever want to enjoy in the world of the Matrix, you know, the computer world. And I think that is awesome. One great factor about this in your smart TV is that being able to speak to it, voice recognition, you can get it to do whatever you want as long as it recognizes what you're saying. I guess they're working on that so that instead of having to say the full phrase of what you want the Xbox to do, you can just cut it down to abbreviations, and the Xbox will have advanced voice recognition for that kind of service. At the moment, I don't have a smart TV. I just have a 1080p flat screen from 2006 with one HDMI port, so that's still keeping me somewhat in date. I have to say, Microsoft has kind of outdone themselves at this moment. I really do enjoy this Xbox One. Yes, I will be getting a PlayStation 4, but for right now, my attention, I guess, is with Microsoft for the moment. I am giving them all of as much love as I can before I move back to my original station with the world of Sony. So Microsoft, keep on performing at this level, and I'm assuming that someday you will be able to completely compete fairly with Sony. So that's my Xbox One little review right there. And so I'm going to go into the next part of the show, which then will tie in with the next part of the Xbox One. So as I said before, I've always been about the killer instinct for this system. I went all out. 2 controllers, headsets, the charging station. I even bought the charging station just so that I have the full experience of Killer Instinct. This is a third-party charging station by Energizer. I think I really wiped my account dry going into this, investing in this one game. But then I realized that there's another game that I'll be investing in, and I'll speak to that in a moment. But back to the Killer Instinct thing. So as a fan, I get the books and everything to Killer Instinct, and I must say that this is the ultimate fan book. As we know, other people have given their reviews of the ultimate fan book, or the ultra fan book, as it says right here. Maximilian has one of the greatest videos out right now as he reveals Spinal and Fulgore in the book. Two of the downloaded characters that we'll receive next year, along with story mode. So as you know, as a fighting game fan, as an otaku of the anime world, and as a lover of just the female characters in general, which is my forte, and storylines, of course, I must say that Killer Instinct would be one of the, I guess, the first digital download game in the FGC world to not have a story mode upon launch. I really live my life in stories and story modes, and as I assimilate the triumphs and the tribulations, and the trials and the tribulations of female characters in anime and video games, I kind of apply that stuff to my real life, my daily life as an otaku, as a lifestyle, living in the anime, in the world, in the Matrix. And not having a story mode upon launch with Killer Instinct was kind of a surprise. You know, as a fan, you know, waiting 17 years to see what happened on a cliffhanger back in '96 for KI2, it was a little bit disappointing, but then I understand where Double Helix was coming from. I guess my analysis of things is coming from a performing arts perspective, is coming from a lifestyle perspective. You know, I'm living very much in between America and Japan and Asia, and in that gray area, not everybody really understands what it is to literally live the lifestyle of an anime character, the lifestyle of a video game character, and through the world of performing arts and kabuki and all of that. That's really something separate out on its own for an occult few such as myself and others out there, which I'm giving my shout out to y'all who do exist out there. So, but getting back to the Killer Instinct thing, with the book, the fan book doesn't have any strategies on anyone. Really, the fan book is a bunch of pictures and interviews, and it goes really in depth on the creation process of what I like to call Killer Instinct 3, but they coined as a reboot of the Killer Instinct game. Why did they reboot it? I really don't know why. I guess because it's been so long that they wanted to update it to today's time. I can understand Mortal Kombat because they wanted to reboot the story to get people who were not there or not born during the mid 80s to experience the 90s from the start of the MK universe, versus Killer Instinct only had 2 games, you know, and then a sub game known as Gold, you know, which is the home version of 2 if you want to count that. To introduce them into the world. They do talk about the story in the front of the book. They really go in depth about what Ultratech is, what it was, what it became, how they became Rise to Power. And I love how they did that. You know, the original Killer Instinct story here on page 6, which really goes into that a lot. I love their in-depth to really recognize the beginning, to recognize the true mythology from where it started off. For us who've been waiting for so long, we just want to know, is this a sequel or is it a true reboot? And it's kind of a gray area right now because it's a reboot in the technology, it's a reboot in the aesthetics, it's a reboot in the combo engine, it's a reboot everywhere else. Is it a reboot in the story? I don't even think Double Helix themselves have really addressed that matter, you know, full on according to what the fans really want. Because the artwork speaks to a sequel, but then it does not. And there's so many different variations. A good example is I was looking at Fulgore. Fulgore, in the command artwork, in the beginning artwork, in the completed work, he has a number on his chest that says Unit 3. So with that saying Unit 3, it makes the fan who's really into mythology believe that this is the 3rd unit of the Fulgore robotic models of the androids. You know, that was the same thing with Unit 2 for Killer Instinct 2 for Fulgore. Fulgore was always Ultratech's prize android and wanting to take out everybody in the tournament and keeping the money in-house for the company to continue the bloodbath and to continue what they were doing in their agenda. Very similar to what we would recognize as our modern-day Illuminati government. When going back into the fandom, playing the game has been quite an experience online, no slowdown, and the truly reinvention of the combo breaker system, from counter breakers to breaking manuals to breaking auto doubles, and even something that I finally realized when finishing dojo mode, which was if you can actually time it right, you can be getting hit you could be getting pummeled in the middle of a combo, and when someone decides to do a shadow move on you, you can actually parry the first 3 hits of the shadow move, or counter parry the shadow move in the middle of getting hit from the start to the first 3 hits, and actually goes into something else and actually be able to break that as well. Double Helix has really reinvented the Killer Instinct world, and actually have put in, give it new life. They gave it new breath. The music is phenomenal. I must say that they really kept alive the music, and when I listen to it, I can feel it. And one thing I must say about the music composer, Mick Gordon, who has put his heart and soul into it, I must give a shout out to him above all else, because just reading the interview in the fan book, reading his interview in the fan book right here, the Ultra fan book, talking about how he was lighting incense, how he put his heart and his soul into the music, how he did research to find out about what it means to bring out the characters out as if it was real life. This is something that Japan does when they put spirit into the anime world, something that it's kind of lost in the American industry when we live in when we're in the entertainment industry, where no one really puts their heart and soul into these kind of creations. Not saying that it doesn't exist, but not on a mass scale. And I haven't felt this kind of energy like that in a video game in a really long time, created by an American company. So I really must say that to Mick Gordon, I really love reading your interview the most out of everyone else, to say the struggle that you felt to bring out the emotions of the characters while composing specific music tracks, while taking from the past and adding the elements of updating everything here, now, in the present, future. I must say, as a performing artist, we performing artists in the parkour, martial arts, and dancing realm have to do the very same thing. And it's our job to take the music that you guys create, and how do we put this in real life, so that not only do we match what you created, we get the emotions out through movement. And that's something that I must say, really loving Mick Gordon right now for composing the music. And his interview is my most favorite one in the Killer Instinct fan book. There's nothing right now that I'm really disappointed about the game. If I had to find some improvements, I must say perhaps the No Mercies, the ultimates, the stage knockoffs, the finishers. Back in the day, we really looked at Killer Instinct as this really gritty, dark fighting game that actually challenged Mortal Kombat and did a very good job challenging it. In the future, a lot of the fans really want to see this again. We really see this game in this light, and right now the game is kind of speaking to the Street Fighter, King of Fighters community. It gives us very anime style, which is not bad, but we kind of want those death scenes back. And I know that y'all don't want to do it over the top like the Mortal Kombat universe, and I quote in the book, y'all felt y'all didn't need to cut someone in half to make it a fun game. I understand that. I agree. You don't. I guess that's the Mortal Kombat universe. And I guess removing Killer Instinct from that, just the artwork alone on the front of the cover makes you think it's kind of along the Mortal Kombat realm. Just the way it looks, the dark K, the eye, all of that, So, bringing that back into that universe, having that aesthetics would be nice. Having all of the classic costumes from 1 and 2 would be nice. And I guess because I'm such a big fan of Orchid, and I spent a long time in gymnastics trying to model all of her movements in real time, in real life, which are all possible, I would love to see her in her KI1 updated outfit again. Like a gym uniform, which is exactly what that one piece was, And then, of course, the KI2 outfit. Everyone should have their KI1 and KI2 counterparts again, and possibly their updated classic stages. It would be wonderful to see an updated version of their classic stages. Saberwolf's inner sanctum, the castle from KI2, the helipad, the Chicago City top from Orchid. If Riptor comes back, his background theme, shout out to you, Michelangelo, because I know you love Riptor, and so on and so forth. So that is my full in-depth review of Killer Instinct in the fan book, and it's a very beautiful book at that. and I will add it to my collection above all else, the rest of my stuff here as an anime and video gaming historian. Whew, I think I said a lot. Oh, yes, one more thing I must say. This is another part of the book. It only comes with this J-Go strategy guide. I guess because y'all was strapped for time. It was a download game. Y'all been working around the clock. I understand that. Just as a professional, you know, in another part of the scene, I understand. I get it. And perhaps in the future y'all can update your book, make a second book with more strategy guides other than just J-Go. You know, and I think y'all already are on that, but I'm just saying that as a fan. Okay, moving on to my next topic. So, I've always been into fighting games. That was my thing. Fighting games, puzzle games, and adventure games, and some RPGs. But now I guess I'm kind of ready to move myself on into the future of fighting games. And something that I've been waiting for a long time that Xbox One has really jumped the gun on. I really love it, and I hope that they take it to the next level. This Kinect device is a beautiful thing. From a friend of mine speaking, I don't know if he wants me to say his name on camera, but you know who you are. We were talking about the Kinect's camera lens. It is believed to be said that it's the same quality of a motion capture camera, the same kind of motion capture that goes into making video games, which, you know, goes on into the game that I'm going to talk about right here, which is called Fighter Within, or The Fighter Within, which is a new standalone fighting game for Xbox alongside Killer Instinct. It's a physical disc that allows you to be the fighter itself, making all the actual martial arts moves in front of the Kinects. This is a performing artist's dream. For us in parkour, breakdance, martial arts, whatever you are as a performing artist in martial arts, this is like a dream come true in its first incarnation. I'm quite sure they're going to perfect the technology. The game hasn't got good reviews so far. It's gotten like a 2.7 out of a 10, and I think that's because no one really understands it yet. And this game really requires that you need to have space. You need to have space in your living room so that you can actually do the front snap kicks, the roundhouse kicks, the movements that you would do as a real fighter or as a real performing artist, so that the Kinect bar can capture it as you're playing the game. This is live action game all the way. This is all about you and the computer and you doing all the moves yourselves. So it's funny, I waited all these years for something like this. I really want to be on the front lines of this kind of game, and so I'm saying this right now. This is my kind of game. And could you imagine in the future games like possibly Street Fighter or Killer Instinct jumping on the bandwagon or something like this, where now this tests not only your mind, but this tests your physical ability to be able to do what the characters can do in real time. You know, and this will really create a new competition in the fighting game community, separating those who are athletic from those who are not. So now this promotes fitness. This promotes stamina, endurance, strategy. This is the new wave of fighting games. And this kind of reminds me of one of my favorite animes called Angelic Layer, which is which you kind of created your doll, you put it in a layer, you wore this headset, and you follow the life of this girl named Hikaru, who's trying to become the best Angelic Layer player, who eventually fights her mom at the end of the story. And you're controlling the character within the dome. Now, this is something very similar, you know, in essence, except now you're the person and you're in front of the Kinects and you're doing that. And this new Kinect bar is 10 times better than the original prototype that was for the 360 as an add-on piece. This is the future, loving it, and I can't express it enough that wanting to really support this game and be one of the first people, if I can, to stand behind the Fighter Within video game is just truly awesome and phenomenal. For you parkour, martial arts, performing artist people out there, I say jump on this game right away and really start playing this game, because I know most likely in the future, not only will they update the game, but this will open up a new door of martial arts based gaming to come out with this kind of concept and system, and even, who knows, partnerships with other companies to create. I'd love to see a Mortal Kombat game like this where I'm actually doing the moves myself. You know, then I have a reason to dress up as Queen Sindel. You know, I'll be really happy. I'm getting too excited right now. So I just wanted to just put that out there. And oh, yes, I'm going to show footage of the fighter within. Fighter within. Okay, Murphy.
A new generation of motion gaming on Kinect for Xbox One. A unique synchronicity between players and fighters, creating the ultimate dual-player combat experience. And all so you can put the hurt on your friends. Just got real. Powered by Kinect for Xbox One. Fighter Within. For friends who fight.
So that was the Fighter Within, or The Fighter Within, live action motion capture martial arts video game that you are in control of the movements based upon the Kinect bar. They could work on a better storyline. I know this is just the first iteration of the game, and that's why my review of it is very benevolent. But then again, I guess I'm a little bit biased because as a performing artist, we really don't get too much light in the fighting game community. That's a part of the fighting game community that's totally ignored, you know, and there's a lot of work that goes into motion capture. For those artists out there who have motion captured for Devil May Cry, for Street Fighter, for other games like Mortal Kombat, for even the original Killer Instinct, which is one of the reasons why I'm supporting the game so much. I hope to eventually meet the creators and say, hey, thank you very much. And if I could get the autograph of the person who motion captured as Orchid, that's all I care about. You know, becoming the top fighting game competitor, I could really give a shit, you know, honestly. I'll leave that for the Justin Wongs out there who want to be like that. My thing is, you know, being recognized for being able to do the movements in real life, you know, as a true fanatic, as a true artist, as a real martial artist too, getting the training to do that kind of stuff, and to display that before the creators of the games themselves. You know, what a wonderful treat that would be to say, hey, there's another side to this. There's another world to this. Have you seen it? You know, here I am to help shed light on a piece of the fighting game community that has been extremely dehydrated and alienated and ignored. I look forward to actually seeing you guys at EVO next year dressed up as Black Orchid and doing exactly what I say that I'm going to do. Have I been hired to do this? No, I'm not. No one hasn't, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I'm quite sure someone will see me doing 7 backhand springs like it's her ultra combo from KI1 down the hallway wherever it's going to be held at in Las Vegas of next year. So people who dress up, be prepared. Bring your A game because I am too. All right, so that's about the Kinect, the Fighter Within, and everything that I wanted to talk about with the Xbox. So I'm going to just get into my life lesson for the month. You know, I was talking with a friend not too long ago, and we was just talking about the real differences between the United States of America and Japan. The anime world, how is it like there and the anime world here in the States? And as much as a melting pot that we are here in the States, we're truly different than Japan. And one of the biggest things is that Japan is really a monoculture, but they like to assimilate other cultures from other worlds, though they're really a monoculture in essence. And we are, you know, a melting pot of many other cultures, and therefore we tend to be self-absorbed in our own perspective cultures, but can give light to others, but always trying to show off our own at times. And I think that's just a very human thing. Taking this concept and putting it into why the anime world, which is the topic, you know, of my discussion right now, I guess the life lesson. Why in Japan? Why not in America? Why in Japan? Why not in America? Well, simply this, you know, when you have thousands and thousands of years of culture, you can think about just living in the time of the samurai or just the warring stage period of Japan, what it is to be the spiritual essence of a martial artist, the spiritual essence of really encapsulating what it is to become one with an entity. Those spiritual essences of Japan has never ever left. And to become one with the spirit, one with the mind and the body, And that three triangular unity is the type of bulk, the type of work, and the essence that goes into everything that they do, from video games to music to all of that. And when you think about that, playing their video games, they're not just playing you in a video game or just watching an anime. They're saying this is their life. This is who they are. This is their story. And when you're playing a video game against a Japanese person, they have become one with the game, to where you're not playing the video game, you've become them. You become them because they are the character. Them and the character has become one, which is something that I've always discovered, which is something why I understand when I play video games, some people can look at me and say, well, why do you make the noises or the movements and stuff like that? Because I've become one with the characters. And when you have an entire culture becoming one in the essence of art form, which is another way of saying the kung fu of life, becoming one with the art form, then everything has a specific depth down to the most smallest crumb. And that depth is what become who they are. And this is why we have anime music with regular music in Japan a part of the pop charts. You'll never see that anywhere else. And when you bring that kind of concept or try to rip that out of Japan and try to put that here in America, it does not work the same, because America wasn't built on a foundation of those kind of spiritual roots. America is a very still new culture of only 500, 600 years. And remember that the American culture is really founded upon the backs of slavery. You really take a look at where America, how the foundations was built on. And when you see that, it could be nearly almost impossible to recognize a so-called spiritual connection to something as simple as a moving piece of art or even a video game. So that's something that most likely will never, ever happen. And then, of course, America is still trying to filter out its own racial and social system amongst each other and the people that, that feel like they're being deprived of their rights. So as long as we have stuff like that going on, the entertainment industry, as in the here of now in America, is really only meant to mask and shadow what's really going on behind the scenes. And so that kind of spiritual depth could never happen, especially when the spirituality of Japan is totally different than America. We're working on Christianity here, and we're using a biblical system, which that and government is supposed to be separate, but we know it really isn't. So I just say that to say that the big difference is why in Japan and why not in America, simply because the spiritual roots are different, and the way that the Japanese are brought up are extremely different than American people. And we just have so many different cultures here and so many different nationalities. Everybody's raised up in their specific monoculture within one big melting pot culture of the United States, of a stolen America that already existed. So let's just put that out there, and then we'll understand why the world of Japan and anime exists the way it does there, thriving never to end there, but almost seems like on its last legs are struggling to survive here in the United States of America. So as I continue to do these video blogs, I want to continue to give the world out there a quality of what it means like to be an African American living in the middle, putting that kind of spirituality depth not only into my creations, into my art form, into playing video games, into watching anime, but also understanding how being authentic like this can sometimes alienate and ostracize me from others that will look at me like I'm a complete loony. And of course, in the United States of America, as I continue to do this kind of work, I will be a Looney Tune. But of course, in Japan, it's wonderful, but that's basically the answer right there for me and that friend that I won't reveal the why and the because. The thriving of Japan is not the same here in America, and the entertainment industry is just totally different. So, and then again, we're also 5 to 6 years behind Japan's technology. So that has been my show. Thank you guys for waiting for me to release this. I'm going to be releasing another episode in the next 2 to 3 weeks. I'll be releasing 2 episodes back to back. My episode 11 and then my farewell episode for this season, along with some news for the new year, events that I'll be going to and things that I'll be talking about next year, as well as possibly taking a little short hiatus while I update my technology and other stuff. As we know, we all human. We all got to get our act together. And so as I continue to do these blogs and as I continue to redefine myself and become more in tune spiritually and in tune economically and socially. I look to even change up the way that I do my shows so that I can even build an even bigger and better quality in what I do. So thank you so much for all of you guys out there for supporting my show.